When we gaze upon the sophistication of ancient Egypt, when we contemplate the sheer scale and precision of the pyramids, a sense of awe washes over us. How did a civilization, seemingly isolated in the vast expanse of the desert, achieve such feats? We're left to speculate, to imagine a society capable of moving 500-ton stone blocks over 500 miles. The Alma, a 2nd-century mathematical and astronomical treatise by Ptolemy, showcases the advanced understanding of celestial mechanics prevalent in the Hellenistic period, hinting at knowledge that may have roots in earlier Egyptian traditions. In the ancient city of Luxor, nestled within the majestic walls of its temple, lies a mystery that throws our understanding of ancient Egypt's science and philosophy into disarray. Egyptologist Archaeology, after dedicating 12 years to an exhaustive study of the Temple of Luxor, posited a radical idea: the ancient Egyptians possessed a sophisticated, immutable knowledge, fully formed from the earliest dynasties. This knowledge, as detailed in his seminal work The Temple of Man, published in 1957, suggested a comprehension of the universe far exceeding that of contemporaneous civilizations. Duboc's meticulous research into the temple's intricate carvings and architectural design led him to a remarkable discovery. He termed it transparency. While meticulously copying temple plans and examining wall carvings, he observed tiny stones embedded within larger blocks, previously dismissed as mere errors or repairs. Duboc proposed that these stones were, in fact, deliberate markers placed by master builders to indicate precise measurements. This revelation, supported by his own adjusted measurements, unveiled even more astonishing findings. He observed that carvings on opposite sides of some walls appeared to align in seemingly impossible ways, as if the stone between them were transparent, allowing the design to flow seamlessly through. This phenomenon, which Duboc likened to a see-through banknote as described in his work Sacred Science, suggested a level of craftsmanship and intentionality that defies conventional understanding of ancient architecture. The temple's carvings, he realized, could only be fully appreciated when viewed as a continuous design transcending the physical limitations of the stone itself. One striking example of this transparency can be found between Room 12 and Room 5 in the Temple of Luxor. A stone block separating these rooms features carvings that seem to project through the stone itself. In Room 12, a hieroglyph for cloth is carved, while in Room 5, a box for cloths appears. The two images align perfectly, as if the stone were transparent. The technical precision required to achieve this effect raises profound questions about the knowledge and skills of the ancient builders. Duboc's discoveries extended beyond transparency. He also identified transposition, a technique where symbols and carvings were arranged across different parts of the temple to create multidimensional connections. For instance, Monto's solar disk in Room 2 is conceptually projected into the shrine of Amun-Ra's boat in Room 6. The boat's contents are hidden, requiring the observer to explore multiple spaces to grasp the intended meaning. These techniques suggest a level of philosophical and scientific depth in ancient Egyptian culture that modern Egyptology had long overlooked. Duboc argued that the Egyptians weren't merely concealing knowledge within their architecture, they were presenting a more profound spatial form of understanding. By dividing concepts across different parts of the temple, the Egyptians created an environment where knowledge was experienced holistically rather than as isolated facts or images. In his groundbreaking work The Temple of Man, Duboc revealed an entirely new architectural grammar. This grammar, encoded in the blocks, shapes, joints, and symbolic overlays, transformed the Egyptian temple into a living library of knowledge, accessible only through deep, immersive study. His discoveries fundamentally redefined how scholars approach ancient Egyptian architecture, leading to a radical re-evaluation of the intellectual achievements of this ancient civilization. The most revolutionary aspect of Duboc's work was the realization that the meaning of inscriptions and symbols on one wall could not be fully understood without considering their relationships to carvings in other parts of the temple. This interconnectedness suggested a three-dimensional approach to knowledge, engaging the observer on multiple levels. For Dubok, the true purpose of transparency and transposition was not merely to complete an idea, but to clarify it in a way that transcended traditional communication methods. As we delve deeper into the mysteries of the Temple of Luxor, it becomes increasingly evident that the ancient Egyptians possessed a unique understanding of art and science. Their use of transparency and transposition reflected a worldview that seamlessly connected the physical and the metaphysical, the material and the immaterial. Transparency, in particular, hinted at a belief that solid matter was, in a sense, deceptive, with light or knowledge itself being the true fundamental reality. Dubok's discoveries at the Temple of Luxor did more than challenge traditional views of Egyptian architecture. They opened a door to a new understanding of how the Egyptians perceived the world. Through transparency and transposition, he uncovered a sophisticated system of thought that extended far beyond the temple's walls. He believed this system could be found in other artifacts, such as papyri, which contained multi-layered meanings intended to be understood holistically. Transparency, for example, was more than a mere architectural technique. It represented a deeper philosophical belief. By prioritizing light over solid matter, the Egyptians expressed a worldview that saw physical reality as secondary to the metaphysical. Dubok suggested that this belief in the primacy of light explains why transparency was central to the Temple of Luxor's design. The stone blocks weren't just barriers but conduits for knowledge and understanding. Transposition added yet another dimension to this philosophy, emphasizing the importance of seeing beyond the surface to fully understand the temple. One had to move through it, experiencing the connections between different spaces and symbols. This design reflected an understanding of spatial awareness and perception that resonates with modern psychological theories such as Gestalt. Gestalt psychology, which emerged in the early 20th century, emphasizes that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Human perception naturally organizes individual elements into a unified whole, rather than analyzing each part in isolation. Dubok's work mirrors this idea, as he argued that the carvings and inscriptions in the temple were part of a larger interconnected system. Just as Gestalt theory highlights the importance of perceiving the overall form, Dubok focused on perceiving the entire meaning of the temple. Dubok's discoveries inevitably lead to profound questions. Who were the true originators of this knowledge? Were the Egyptians solely responsible for developing these advanced ideas, or were they inheritors of a wisdom passed down from an even older, perhaps lost, civilization? And what can these ancient ideas teach us about the very nature of reality? By connecting ancient Egyptian concepts with modern scientific theories, we can unlock new insights into the mysteries of the past and entertain the possibility that the answers to our most profound questions may lie not in the future, but in the echoes of the distant past. For oh many